Good afternoon, you savages. Welcome to Beer with Brian, a program of the Coffin Comics Sworn Club. There's your coaster. What'll it be? Beer with Brian is an informal conversation where I'm actually not selling. I'm just talking about what's going on. And I cordially invite you to ask any questions you'd like on topics of the day related to pop culture or Coffin Comics. Here we are. It's November, if you could believe it. And one more Beer with Brian left in the year. How did we get here? 22. Boy, it moved. One thing I can tell you, I've been in comics publishing one way or another for 31 years. There was only a little patch there where I wasn't doing that. But for the great majority, I have been publishing comic books. And it really, I can tell you, it makes time fly because there's always deadlines. Whether it's to make the year schedule, quarterly schedule, this week's deadlines, this month's deadline, this is going to press, writing this, writing that. It's pretty fascinating. It is a fast way of living because there's always a deadline. And hey, that's just the nature of the business. I'll give you a little state of the art as we sit. Coffin Comics. Mike McLean and I, as you may have heard, are writing the 2024 major storyline. And in September of 2023, we'll announce it. And we're actually writing additional storylines. One of the storylines that we're writing with the hopes of beginning production in March is the Lady Gunfighter story. So that'll be a 96-page story broken up into 2 chapters with Joel Gomez as the illustrator. So looking forward to that one. As we sit, I have finished the first draft of chapter 1 of Mad Mike Morg's story. I am actually working on the second draft as we speak. I do outlines, I do drafts, and I was kind of coming out fun. I actually project sometime next week, maybe before Thanksgiving, I might be complete with chapter 1 of Mad Mike Morg. Fun story. My influences on that one are quite distinct, so this definitely would be for fans of more extreme horror and fun, a little jokey, a little insane, hopefully heart-stopping violence and some jokes. Diego Bernard is beginning work on latest chapter 18, which should be for next August. That script's been long done. It's in his hands. He's already turned in some cover concepts. They're bananas. They're phenomenal. Joel Gomez, I think, is about to go to Tokyo Comic-Con, but before he does, he's completed about 22 pages of La Muerta Devious Chapter 9. So things are moving at pace. We're booking covers that we are slotting into work as far out as August and September of next year. I am personally working on the La Muerta Devious Kickstarter campaign. I maybe have about 3 covers to book and get in, but the overall framework is complete. So then in terms of the comic shop market, we have stuff complete for that all the way through 2023. So things are kind of coming together, moving at a good pace, good tempo. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to lay them on me. I guess Jimmy Coffin is saying there is one.
Yeah, well, we got a lot of people who are watching. They want to say hi to you.
Hey, everybody.
Heathen saying, what's up?
What's up, Heathen?
He's also saying he just got his hands on the Chaos Chronicles.
Ah, yes, the Chaos Chronicles.
We got Don Cheadle saying hello.
Don, what's up?
Matthew Davis, happy Thursday, Brian. It's
Matthew,
been quite a year.
How are you? Quite a year is right.
Mr. Goat 100 saying hello.
Mr. Goat, what is up?
Also, Matthew is also asking, can Ratso get his own one-off?
Oh my Lord, Ratso's barely been given birth and he's already getting a one-off. What I can tell you about Ratso, being that I am working on this, I am, who was Ratso before he was Ratso and all that stuff. So all that's part of the mythos. And actually in 2023, you'll learn a little bit more about Mad Mike and Ratso because they appear in the next Lady Death story, but it will be a future alternative Earth version of Mad Mike and Ratso. But I'm working on Ratso right now. I love the idea that he'd get his own one-off. It reminds me a little bit of Smiley, where Smiley was the best-selling button comic book of all time. Maybe he had 3 or 4 comics. Now, he might have been the only button to ever have gotten a comic, but he was quite a wisecracker. So I think I would say that Ratso is a rat, but he does kind of continue on that tradition of, like, there's the angel on your shoulder, there's the devil on your shoulder, and I think Ratso's like the mischief maker on your shoulder.
We've got Gary Compton saying, Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving, and Gary Compton.
He wants more prints. Bean's Choice.
Yes, sir. Coming up. Thank you for your enthusiasm on the prints.
Oh, Don is saying, any teasers for Satanis and Chaotica dates?
So teaser on dates. So we are deep into production on both of those books. In the new year, we'll announce the art teams. I'm probably eyeballing summer and fall. So in an effort to get those books out, there will likely be Kickstarters, but they're going to be of a different scale. We're actually going to start them out very modestly. The amazing thing I'd say about both those stories is that all the covers are complete, and the covers are by all the artists you love. The lineup is mind-bending on those 2 characters. But yeah, we're going to make those what I'd call kind of like quick strike, stealthy Kickstarters, where there's only a certain amount of editions, and we really want to get that story out to you on both of those. So I'm thinking maybe if the comic gods shine upon us, I'm thinking maybe June for Satanis. And then what was I thinking? It'd have to be, believe it or not, it would be, if this will pull off, we would go May La Muerta, June Satanis, August Lady Death, September Chaotica. And there will be 30-day campaigns. The ones that'll have scale will be obviously Lady Death, La Muerta, because they're veteran characters, and then we're going to do more modest campaigns for the other characters so that we can gauge people's level of interest. So that's all subject to change, because we have to, by royal order of La Presidenta, we must complete the interiors before we are able to list. But I'm ready. Let's get those stories in your hands. I'm into it.
Let's see. We got a couple ones that pop up here. Dravin is saying, would love to see Lady Death and Deja Thoris, 2 of my favorite females, coming together to kick tail and look sexy doing it.
Lots of fun suggestion. You never know. These crossovers are a royal pain. So I do know that we are doing a crossover with Lady Death in Zombie Tramp. And that is coming at you the first Friday, November 2023. It's originally promised in October, but we're just going to clip a couple days over. But Dan Mendoza and Still Ill Princess are hard at work on that project.
So Don is asking, are the not safe for work covers like the Lady Death covers with less nudity, but still they're a lot more wild like Hell Witch, or is it a not safe for work? So I guess some of our books we call them as NSFW.
Well, we did for the comics market, I believe it was Lady Death Chaos Rules, we did an edition called NSFW. So not safe for work. So I would say our naughty equivalent books, the ones you see, the Lady Death semi-see-through, are probably what I consider not safe for work. Work here at Coffin Comics, sure, no problem. Most people's work, maybe not.
Mr. Goat's asking, will the Lady Death and Zombie Tramp, is that going to be a Kickstarter?
That will absolutely be a Kickstarter. It's going to be published by Still Ill Princess. Dan and I are co-plotting it. I will write Lady Death's dialogue. Dan will write Zombie Tramp's dialogue. That's how it's going to work. And the actual length of the book is still up in the air. Like, Dan's really kind of, he's fired up about it. So it's going to be up to him because he's the publisher.
Let's see. Matthew's saying, I saw the layouts for HQ2. Is Coffin looking to host larger scale Kickstarter parties?
Absolutely. Great observation. So when part of HQ2 is just that we need more space to move around and do the things that we do due to increased capacity. But also, yes, the entire quote unquote campus will be enclosed, and we would then host more interactive events, and our entire space will be considered an entertainment space for sure.
Do you have any recommendations for horror movies for this weekend coming up?
So recommendations for horror films, I'm actually going to give you a bit of a spin. I'm going to recommend a Western that has significant horror elements. You're just going to have to trust me on this one. So on Prime, in association with the BBC, Emily Blunt stars in The English. It is a 6-part series. Runtime is around 45 minutes an episode, and it is a Western that distinctly has horror elements. So that would be my recommendation. Now, another recommendation, or just something I'm doing, is I'm going to watch that movie Smile, because I missed it in theaters, but I saw the trailer, I'm excited about it, and I'm going to try to find some time. But if you're looking for a couple of unique horror films, the one that I keep talking about all year, I think you can find it on Prime. You might have to rent it. It's called She Dies Tomorrow. It's a big favorite of mine in the last couple of years. And it's an independent style. Kind of depends on your taste in horror. I find personally, I love the studio, big budget, high concept stuff, but I really like independently produced horror that really creates like a dangerous mood or just a creepy or eerie mood. Because I actually find those are the hardest moods to sustain in horror. And the reason I say that is most of the studio horror films that we know and we enjoy, they really have an action and suspense element to them. Look at that last series of Halloween films. It was barely frightening. It was more like the supernatural Terminator thing. It wasn't eerie. So I find creepy, eerie, and terrifying very, very difficult to achieve. And it just is. So I felt that She Dies Tomorrow was a real potent concept. Now, one other thing I'd like to say is, I don't know about you, but I might watch a horror film, and the horror film itself maybe is not completely amazing, but it creates thoughts in my mind, or I create new brushstrokes to it, and I enhance it a little bit in my mind, and it's very stimulating, just to step more into this particular world that they're creating. So again, I think She Dies Tomorrow does that on all fronts. But it will require patience because it's a more independent style and it's more low key.
Here's a Kickstarter question from Ken.
Hey, Ken.
How do you grow your readership in the Kickstarter business model? Do you still work with brick and mortar?
Well, we do make our comics for the conventional comic shop market. Those versions of the books do come out about a calendar year later. So we've been back in the comics market since 2016. And how we hope to grow our audience all the time is by largely, we are guided by philosophy, and we are looking always to be our promise. So we're trying to produce something that's high quality and reasonably on time. And that is the mania that kind of drives us, is having fun, making these fun comics and making sure we get them on time. And if we have to alter our promise in any way, we re-promise. We're transparent. We are, an open book when it comes to the good, the bad, and the ugly of customer service. And we strive to do our best every day.
Mr. Coates got a question here saying, any chance of more femme fatale figures? Love the last one from the Kickstarter.
So, yes. So in regards to the Femme Fatale line, that was something produced by Diamond Select Toy. It was 4 figures produced over, of course, a certain amount of years. That was 9-inch vinyl. So we are in pre-production on a series of interlocking battle 9-inch vinyls. And more about that in the new year. They're beautiful. They're as beautiful as a sculpture, but they'll be reasonably priced, and they are outrageous.
Ambrose is asking about the Cabinet of Curiosities on Netflix. They loved it. What's your opinion? Have you seen it?
Well, I haven't seen it yet, and I look forward to seeing it. There's a couple episodes in particular that seem to appeal to me. There's an episode directed by the guy who did the movie Mandy, and that sounds good. And I hear there's a body horror, so I know when time permits. Now, please understand, Mrs. Pulido doesn't like all the horror that I like. Maybe left to my own devices, I might be watching horror movies morning, noon, and night. But I have a sustained cooperative relationship, so we're not always watching all that stuff because, you know, it just, I don't know why, but she doesn't like it all. She likes much of it, but so I get it. I get in what I can when I can.
I got time for a couple more questions here. Matthew Davis, he saw the Foo Fighters horror movie. He said it was pretty good. Have you seen that one?
Haven't seen it yet. It's on my list. I'm way behind on everything in terms of content. I find, Matthew, one thing I like to do too is I like to watch TV that has just nothing to do with almost anything. I really like food tourism shows. So right now what we're watching almost every night is Ink Master season 14. So we're watching one a night, you know, going all the way through. So sometimes I'll watch that. I like food tourism shows. Thing that I've been watching and enjoying on Netflix is Somebody Feed Phil, where this man Phil, the co-creator of Everybody Loves Raymond, goes from town to town and eats at all different places. And it's I live vicariously through him. Food tourism is the best.
All right, so we have time for one more here.
Time for one more.
So Tony Wolf is asking, in case you keep doing the wheel for lucky backers on Kickstarter,
Yes.
have you considered dividing the backer ranges, where they go, backer ranges between like 0 to 500 and 501 to 1,000 and so on, and spin for each one?
Tony, we haven't considered that, but that's a great suggestion. Maybe we will apply it to a future wheel. I don't know. Maybe we will. Look, everybody, you've been great. Thank you so much. This has been Beer with Brian, a program of the Coffin Comics Sworn Club. I look forward to catching up with you guys and gals sooner than later. Have a great day.